Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the HerStory TV and the HerStory Podcast. This is Gertrude Macha here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia. And today I am graced with the presence of yet another fascinating young woman. Welcome to our tribe. Before I get started, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea, and community. We pay our respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people today. So for those of you who know me, I'm normally based in New Zealand, and this is a traditional acknowledgement when you are in Australia. I feel very privileged to be able to broadcast these amazing stories from this land. So thank you for having me here. So welcome to our tribe. Please tell everybody your full name, where you're based, how old you are, and share your story with us today.
Hi, my name is Lilianne Oliver. I'm from Abbotsford, Victoria. I'm 27 years old, and this is my story. I have been diagnosed with quite a rare hereditary condition that affects the connective tissue throughout the body. I do have quite a few family members that are affected by this condition. My story sort of starts about 5 years ago when I started to degenerate. I was in my third year of nursing and I sort of fell to the ground with a numb leg. We tried for many months to try and find out what was going wrong with me. However, the experts didn't really know. We ended up getting in some specialists from around Victoria who were able to sort of help us out on the way for my diagnosis. And I was diagnosed with something called Ehlers-Danlos Syndrome. As a consequence of this, I developed some severe instability at the top of my neck that connects my skull to my neck. And I've had some pretty serious symptoms involved since then. I had an accident back last year on the 19th of November that has actually left me in my bed quite unwell, with my heart stopping multiple times a day. We've attempted to get help from a lot of the specialists throughout Victoria, including neurosurgeons and orthopedic surgeons and a whole host of specialists that just really had no idea about my condition or how to treat me. And the symptoms that I'm displaying now are quite rare. Basically, I've been left in my bed by the government healthcare system at this stage. And I've been receiving 24-hour nursing care for about since the 26th of December. We're attempting to try and raise some awareness for other people who may be in the same position, who may not have a strong voice like I do. I have a medical background, as I said, and quite a strong understanding of this condition, as I've had to do my own research to find out what was wrong with my own family. So as a result, I'm just trying to spread my story as far as it may go to try and give people an understanding of what goes on behind closed doors. This is quite a distressing time. It has been very hard on me and my loved ones around me. We've attempted every avenue of trying to get help at this stage, and now have sort of resorted in having to go via the media to spread the story. It's come to my attention that there's not really any experts available over here in Australia. I've spoken to many experts from overseas, and a lot of them have advised me that this condition is actually quite a death sentence in Australia. There's not many viable treatments available, none that would be applicable to me at this stage with the severity of my symptoms. And as I said, I've been left now just to have to deal with this on my own. The hope is that we can get the right specialists involved and the right people in place to be able to help me to stabilize my condition. So this condition is actually related straight back to complex post-traumatic stress disorder. It's generational. It's related to generational trauma as well. So as you're stuck in a fight or flight state, the cortisol and the adrenaline that is produced throughout your body, if it is not released if you're not taught how to release those chemicals within your body, they will eat down at your soft tissues and they will break down those soft tissues. So for me, it has actually broken down the ligaments within my spine, particularly in my upper spine at C1. This is quite a severe injury that I've caused myself. And so at the moment, the only thing that's really helping me with any sort of relief is this yoga mat that I have underneath my neck, which funnily enough is just keeping height to stabilize those symptoms. I require the application of a halo brace to stabilize things further and so that I can access the treatments from overseas. I've been working quite closely and speaking with the Ehlers-Danlos Society, who specialises in Ehlers-Danlos, obviously, and advocating quite heavily for centres of excellence to be produced across the world. These would be trauma-informed centres that have all experts available at all times so that people like me or people in the similar positions who have found themselves with severe and rare conditions can go straight there for help. I'm trying to raise awareness for this condition in particular and trying to raise the funds to produce a centre of excellence here in Melbourne one day. So that's my dream and that's my wish, is to get to as many people as I can and just to show people that they're not alone, that this is well understood in many other countries. Even though there might not be many resources here in Australia, there are always people there that understand what you're going through. It's just about finding them. And I hope that I can have more people come in to help me along the way.
You have an incredible story, Lily. Just absolutely amazing. And your positivity, you seem like a very strong young woman. So take us back a little bit so people can understand, what were the symptoms when you started to get ill? How does it manifest?
Yeah. So I've been very unwell since I was a child. When I was around 3 months old, I was failure to thrive. So I was losing a lot of weight. I wasn't thriving as a normal infant should. As the years went on, things such as, baseline pain level was always present during childhood. I was always seeing stars whilst I was walking around, was quite dizzy. And I obviously did not know this was not normal. As things started to progress, my joints started to break down. So I began having hip dysplasia issues. My hips would dislocate if I would squat down or move in a certain way. And then it sort of worked and progressed its way up to my complete spine. So I was a childcare worker for quite a few years and I was quite disabled by the pain whilst I was working. I was taught to believe that this was normal by not only, my family who had this very similar symptoms, but also the medical professionals that I tried to contact. In fact, a lot of the time that I've been trying to get help, this has been put down as a psychosomatic disorder. And I would like to let people know that any type of pain at any time throughout the day is not normal and should be investigated further if it's prolonged or is not seeming to go anywhere with pain relief or with rest and exercise. So nothing that I have been able to do for the past 5 years has really slowed down this progression. It all sort of escalated towards the end of my degree when I dislocated my leg and my hip and fell to the ground with a numb leg.
Wow. Now, you mentioned that this condition is hereditary and generational.
Yes.
What is the generational trauma in your family that you have identified that has led to this?
So if I go all the way back, we were actually first bleeders. So we were convicts that were brought over from England, I think, and a few other countries. I can't trace it back too far. My dad's history is quite skewy. My grandmother also had quite a lot of hospital traumas herself, as well as family domestic violence that has continued on throughout our generations as well, and is still quite ongoing, if I'm honest. I'm attempting to sort of learn these things myself so that I can change these generational traumatic events so that they don't happen again for the next generation. I believe that education is key, and that with educating parents and children and young adults of the effects of trauma and how it can affect your body, I believe we can prevent this from happening to many more people around the world. It is considered quite a uncommon thing. However, it is a spectrum. It's actually related back to autism. So autism is actually just a heightened sense of awareness, as they believe. Goes back to caveman days. So if your parents were attacked by a tiger, you're then born with those extra senses. You can smell and taste and feel better, so you can sense those tigers. Now, as you grow up and you sustain more trauma, that is where the other mental health disorders sort of come into play. So we're all quite very much on the spectrum, both with our autistic symptoms as well as with the degeneration of our bodies going along with that. So typically the more basically the higher on the spectrum you are for autism, the more likely you are to have quite severe EDS. For my case, obviously, I can communicate quite well, but I have difficulties in other areas as well where I've been stunted from this trauma. So, yeah.
Wow. It is a very, very challenging life.
Yeah, definitely.
How did you cope when you were little, going to school, playing with other kids? What were your coping mechanisms?
So I guess I was very chatty. I've always been very outgoing, very chatty, love to make friends. So I would just sort of talk away anything that would come up. I was a very anxious kid. No one really could see that beyond the surface, though. So for my family, masking was a very good way for us to fly under the radar. So if someone would come close or try to probe or ask what's been going on, my family's immediate reaction would be, oh, nothing, we're fine, everything's all good here, like, don't probe any further. So people just didn't, and I flew under the radar. It became very apparent more for me whilst doing my nursing degree, just throughout my own mental health course, realizing that I didn't have a normal thought pattern, that these feelings that I'd had, the pain, the anxiety and things like that, was not normal for a person to be going through. But as I said, this was quite normalized throughout within my family. So it wasn't something that I felt I needed to be concerned about until it was too late, really.
Now, you want to start a movement. Tell us about the movement and the vision you have around that.
Yeah, so I have had this thought for quite a while now. Basically, I believe that the way that our countries are being run is quite, it's causing quite a lot of destruction throughout the education system, throughout the healthcare system, all different government run services. I feel like they're not being run to the best of their capacity. I believe that something more towards the view of the World Health Organization. So having the best doctor, the best nurse, the best police officer, the best educator, be in charge of the funds for that area and ensuring that they are fully funded and running smoothly, as they're really the experts in their fields. I believe that one person making the decisions for these funds is just too much power, and it's not being handled correctly. I think with COVID and with what's going on within the healthcare systems now, and me being in this position in the way that I am, is good proof that things are just not running the way they should be. People are not being addressed, and people are falling through the cracks, and it's detrimental to their health. And I just feel like there's just not enough understanding there. We're not collaborating in a way that we should be and working more inclusively.
So it sounds like there's a lot of work that needs to be done on a government
Yes.
level to address these issues, right?
Yes, definitely. I think so.
So, what would be the ideal outcome of your campaign?
So the ideal outcome, which we've already started in the right steps towards, we've created a website by the name of Touch of Joy International, which is basically going to become a registry. So we would love for the whole of Victoria to come under a trauma-informed scheme. So basically throughout the education system, throughout healthcare system, and even in jails and prison cells and rehabilitation services, for all of them to be trauma-informed, to help people to rehabilitate, go back to their lives, to live a fulfilled life, and to prevent injuries like this from happening in the future to our generations. Like, I can forgive people for doing the best with the knowledge that they have at the time, but once you know better, you should be doing better. And I feel like we definitely have more than enough evidence to prove here that trauma has quite a big effect on people, including people such as myself that have just been through generational trauma, as I spoke about earlier, but also our Indigenous communities, to which I have quite a few friends that I'm quite close with. They're like more like sisters that both have gone through this, stolen generations and loss of their land. I feel like a lot of these people need to be supported. They need to be heard, and they need to be able to have a safe place to tell their story.
That is amazing. Well, I tell you, you have your work cut out for you.
Yeah, I know
I
that one.
love the fact that you are using the power of your voice despite being in bed, feeling unwell, out there spreading and sharing and bringing an awareness to this issue.
Thank you. I have to do something with it.
You have to. And sometimes, when you focus on something that is not you, it also distracts from the pain and the discomfort that you're having. And just
Definitely.
knowing that everything you're doing is going to help somebody else.
Exactly.
So please don't tire.
I'll try not to.
And just know that our movement is behind you in every way we can. I would love to show this video at our next conference in May, from the 1st to
Fantastic.
the 10th of May. We're having an International Women's Conference. So I will edit this video and share it with that community as well.
That would be
So
amazing.
to end our interview, how can people help you? What action steps can we take to help you?
So I would love for everyone, all people throughout Australia, it's estimated that there's around 5.5 million people that have sustained their own CPTSD or generational trauma. I would love that if you feel comfortable to share your own story. Also, if you are in the field of work in which you have been become trauma informed, or you would like to become trauma informed, I would like you to reach out to us on Touch of Joy or through any of the videos that I've produced here, and I've got a few others on Instagram as well. I'd just really like for people to step forward and help to collaborate and join our cause to try and build a new movement so that we can all live a much fairer life. And a life without trauma is my dream.
Fantastic. Lily, thank you so much for coming online and sharing with us today.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you to everybody who tuned in. Please go onto the website touchofjoyinternational.com. Connect with Lily. Come forward and share your own personal trauma story. The more stories she gets, the bigger this movement grows as well. Thank you, everybody. I'll be back again tomorrow with yet another amazing person sharing her story. In the meantime, have a fantastic day, morning, or evening, wherever you are in the world. And bye for now. Thank you, Lily.
Thank you so much for having me. Bye.